Okay, I'm on Facebook a lot, and so I noticed one thing that a lot of people seem to have in common, or what they talk about, is stuff that I post. They say is spooky conspiracy theories, or they say it's scary, or I'm trying to scare people. And I was trying to figure out why they call it scary or spooky, but I guess it is kind of scary and spooky if you're really, if it's breaking down walls of things that you've actually believed in all your life. And so it's kind of hard when you realize reality is not what you think it is, and the things that you've been taught over the years is simply not true. So I guess it is kind of scary, but I wanted to kind of put this video together so people could get an understanding of what it is that you need to really know and how this world operates. Most people have no clue as to how the world operates. And the reason they don't know is because they haven't really taken time out to do any kind of research or any kind of study to find out how the world operates. They just kind of go with the flow. They watch news and a lot of television news. And the television news and the news is where most of the stories of where we get our information from comes from. For example, we heard about slavery, but we get the picture of it from watching shows like Roots and 12 Years a Slave. And that's so television production is where we get the majority of our information from, whether it's uh, made from TV, movie, or whether it's a movie, or whether it's the news that's giving us information. But what if everything that they're telling you isn't right or isn't true? And that's basically what it is. So I can understand how it's scary. I remember when I first um, came upon knowledge of how the world works. I guess I can go. I'm gonna go back a little bit and tell you my story and how I came to start thinking the way that I think and start having a desire to research everything and never trust anything that's simply told to me. Um, it was December 2008. My cousin Googie died. Now Googie was a first cousin, and before he died, his sister died, maybe a year or two earlier. So we, the cousins, we were saying, "Well, we're getting older. Now, the older generation is, most of them majority of them are already gone. So now we're dying off. So we weren't as close as we used to be. And when we were younger, we all used to, my grandmother was alive. On Sunday, we would all go to my uncle's church. And then after church, we'd go to my grandmother's house for dinner. So we were really close. But after my grandmother died, we weren't as close as we were before. So after my cousin died in 2008, we start saying, listen, it's time that we get together because our children don't even know each other. And we all kind of lived in the same area. We all lived in like Newark, East Orange, Irvington, the Essex County area. So some of our children might meet their cousins and might start dating because they don't even know each other. So we start having cousins day. At the first cousin day, my cousin, my cousin brother, or well, James, Eddie, call him three names. Anyway, he came. He was at the cousin's day. He actually lived in California, but it was his brother who passed away. So he was in New Jersey um, because of his brother passing. And so he attended the first cousin's day, and he was telling us some information about things that was happening out in California. He was in the entertainment industry out in California. He was telling us some really strange things to me. Like, to me, it was unheard of. Like, that can't be true. That's incredible. Like, I was hooked on the stories he was telling me because it was just so, you know, um, outlandish. Like celebrities that I liked and grew up on. And he was telling me some things that they were into and the things that they were doing, and it just seemed so strange to me. But I was interested. I wanted to find out more about it. And I remember after the Cousin's Day, I came home at night and I got on the internet. This is when you can get information on Google and YouTube. They wasn't censoring everything. So I remember staying up that entire night just looking into the entertainment industry and how crazy it was, and things that I had never paid attention to before was being brought to my attention. And I was like, wow, this stuff is just incredible. Now, I didn't think of it as being spooky or scary. I was actually angry. I was angry that I didn't know this, that they was pulling the wool over my eyes, that I just wasn't aware of the stuff that was really happening in the real world. Like, it made me angry, and it made me kind of thirsty for more knowledge and for more understanding. And I know a lot of times they use the phrase, going deeper into the rabbit hole, but that's exactly what it is. You're going deeper and deeper into a rabbit hole because the more you learn about this stuff, the deeper it goes in so many different layers. There's so many different things that's just happening. And so much of our world is just created and made up and not even real. But I just want to kind of share some things with you so that you don't have any fear. Because the truth is, we haven't been given the spirit of fear. We don't. We don't have the spirit of fear. So it's nothing to be fearful of. And once you learn how the world operates, you actually operate from a stance of freedom, from being liberated, because you're no longer fooled and tricked by the things that's the world is trying to throw upon you. When you are not knowledgeable, you do fall for a lot of things. And none of the things that you fall for are to your benefit. None of them are to your benefit. They're all to your detriment. Now, this may sound spooky to those who are spooky, easily spooked, but the world is basically run by demonic spirits. Now, some people say, oh, that's crazy, that's hokey pokey, but it's no other way to explain it. The world is run by demonic spirits. Now, here we call it aliens, but it's no such thing as aliens. These aliens are demons, and these demons actually rule the earth. And we have families, 12 families, 13 families, excuse me, who follow behind what these demons tell them to do. And the goal of the demons is to basically destroy humankind and to make humankind be their, they want to be God. They want to be the creator. So they want to create humans in their likeness and in their image. And that's what they've basically been trying to do for centuries. They've been, it's not that the demons are smarter than anybody, but pretty much they are, because they've been here so long. They know exactly how humans work and how humans operate, and they can control us because we have people who where money is more important to them than anything else. So they do things for money and money purposes, in control and power. And if you follow behind these demons, they do give you power and money. And that's what a lot of people are interested in. But they do a lot of trickery and a lot of foolery. Everything they do is to trick you. Everything, every single thing. I mean, just think of one thing and it's some kind of trickery in it, some kind of magic or spell that they're putting you under so that you can behave and act and think a certain way. Now, we all have a superpower that allows us to overcome anything, but most of us don't know what it is or how to use it. But they do, and they know how to use it, so they brainwash us. The superpower that we have is called our subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, if you can think of something or believe it, and you believe it down to the core, it'll be what your philosophy of life will be. And you'll follow the things and do whatever it is that your subconscious mind truly believes. So what these demons do is they try to control our subconscious mind. And the way you do that is really simple. You just make a statement and you repeat it over and over and over again, and then people just accept it as if it's true. And you don't take something that's a complete lie. You have to take a lie and you mix in some truth, because if you told a straight lie, people know it's just a straight lie. So you have to take a lie and you blend it in with some truth, and you just keep repeating it over and over and over and over and over again, and then people just accept it as if it's true. Now, they learned a long time ago with the advent of television that they have a way to reach millions of people, and they can get millions of people to do, behave, think, do whatever it is that they want them to do by just programming them to do these things. And that's why they call it television programming, because basically what they're doing is they're programming you on how you should live your life. It's the media that tells us what the fashions are. They're the ones that tell us, where we should live, what's hip, what's cool. They have, they tell us everything, and we just kind of follow behind it. They show us how we're supposed to behave. Like, if you're black, this is how you're supposed to behave. If you're white, this is how you're supposed to behave. And if you're Spanish, this is how you're supposed to behave. If you're Asian, this is how you're supposed to behave. And we learn these things from the time we're a child, and we believe them because we say, hey, if everybody that's black is behaving this way, then I'm supposed to behave this way too. Or if everybody that's white's behaving this way, then I'm supposed to behave this way too. And it's not that we make this decision on a conscious level, we make it on a subconscious level. We don't have to really think about it, we just accept it. Society has told us that this is the norm, and so we make it into being the norm. Now, this year, 2020, they are going full force in effect with their plans of pretty much destroying the United States and destroying mankind or changing mankind into what it is that they want us to be, which is people that are not 100% human, but pretty much cyber people. They've been prepping us for this for years. They've started with movies. They do it. That's how they basically do it. They start programming with television shows, and that's how come when 9/11 happened. After you thought about it, you could go back and you can see all of these different incidents where they pretty much showed us that airplanes were going to crash into the World Trade Center. They had TV shows about it. They had movies about it. Even on the Simpsons predict everything. So they had all of these different programmings leading up to 9/11 because that's how they get us to accept the things that they are going to do for us. They show it to us. They reiterate it. I guess a really good way to kind of show you so you can see how this is. Back in the 50s, whenever you saw family shows, you saw the father working, the mother home with the children, and the mother taking care of the children, and she's dressed when the father come home, there's food on the table. That was what they showed family to be. And so families copied off of what it is that they were programmed to be. Then gradually they sneaked it in and they changed and they started corrupting the family. And it all started with pretty much television shows. You start seeing shows where the husband is cheating on the wife. The wife is home taking care of the kids, but then the husband is having an extramarital affair. And then they started having this in almost every TV show, every movie. And then it just became kind of like the norm among the people because the television is programming us how we're supposed to behave and how we're supposed to think. And this becomes normal, becomes a normal thing. One of the most recent things that most people could relate to would probably be the the homosexual agenda. Like it started on television. You saw little things, not much, but in movies you would see, it always had like a gay person in a movie. Not really a major part of a movie, but played a part in it. Or you would see comedians playing the part of, a gay person. And then it wasn't really acceptable back then. It was, I didn't see that many gay people, and it was not an acceptable thing. And then Will and Grace came on TV. And Will and Grace, it's a good show. I used to watch all the time. It's about a woman with her best friend was a male who was gay, and he had a friend that was gay too. Now, her best friend was a business guy. He didn't really act the typical way television shows us that gay people act. Because a lot of people had no interaction with gay people, so they only have television to go by to determine how gay people are supposed to act. And then they had the other guy, the other friend, who was what they would probably call a flaming guy. So these are what people who not around gay people, this is their world of gay people. So in their mind is how gay people are supposed to be because TV has programmed them to think that. Now I'm not saying all gay people act like anything. I'm telling you that this is the way TV programmed us to see gay people. Same thing with black people. Television news program the masses to be afraid of black people. They only put on crimes committed by black people. But the truth is, more crimes are committed by white people than by black people. There's more white people in America, so there are more crimes committed by them. But you don't see that on the news. If you watch the news, which is what people get their programming from, how people behave, you only see news stories of black people committing crimes, killing people, killing each other. They created the term black on black crime, which really makes no sense because they never say white on white crime or Asian on Asian crime or Puerto Rican on Puerto Rican crime or Indian on Indian crime. But that's pretty much what it is if you're going to call it black on black crime, because people kill people that they know. Most people don't just go out killing strangers. Most people kill people they know, and black people probably know more black people than they know white, and white people know more white people than they black, and Asians know more Asians. If you ever sit there and binge watch Forensic File, I think they got like about 30 seasons and 28 episodes each. Uh, I'm a binge watcher of Forensic Files, and out of the whole series, you might stumble across two or three black shows where somebody black actually committed a crime, and the rest of them are white people, and a lot of serial killers, and but they'll never call it white on white crime, because the television program is not to program you to think of, when you think of white people, to think of crime. It's to program you that when you think of black people, to think of crime. And that's how it kind of works with everything. Now, right now, it's a political. I've never seen as much political stuff that as I see it now. To be honest with you, in all my 55 years, I've never seen as much. They've never started promoting an election a entire year in advance. Now, they not saying that they don't have tolls, and you may hear about it every so often when it's time for debates and stuff, but I've never heard of it every single day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, like they're doing now. So because they're doing it, it kind of makes me look, it kind of made me look at Trump to see what was it that he was doing that's making them really want him to get out of office. Because that's the way they kind of do it. When I was, actually when I went to college, I went to college to become a news broadcaster. I wanted to be a person who sat on the news and read the news. But when I started my my classes, I had a teacher who had worked in news. I had a professor who worked at in the news. She wasn't actually behind the camera, but she worked in the news, and she's basically told us that, well, you're gonna have to say whatever it is that just people who sponsor your network tells you to say, whether you know it's true or whether you know it's false. If they sponsor the show, they're gonna want to lean the show, all their shows, towards whatever it is that they're promoting or whatever they're sponsoring. They will do everything to dismiss anything else that don't relate to what it is that they're doing. And one of the things that one of the guys he was the only other black guy in my class, he asked about Malcolm X. He was like, I know in the news that they always had negative things about Malcolm X. He said, well, that's because the media wanted to portray Malcolm X in a negative light, but they wanted to portray Martin Luther King in a positive light. So all news medias were told to just, it's propaganda. You have to destroy him as much as you can. And then I said, then I don't want to be in a profession like that. I changed my major that day. I never want to do news reporting, and never really watched the news too much after that. Still don't watch it. I think it's brainwashing. I do hear it. You can't help but hear it. You got to know what's going on. You know what's going on, because if something happens, you're going to hear about it. I actually didn't stop watching news because of that. Stopped watching news because it was negative, very negative, and I don't like to, and if you take in negative things, you become a negative person. So I just stopped watching it altogether because of the negativity. But once I started learning how they really program people, I'm glad I did stop watching it. And what I realize now is that a lot of people who always be combative about anything you say that goes against the mainstream media is because they watch programming. They're programmed to believe that way. I heard this recording years ago about this from this guy who his family were witches and warlocks, and he explained that he was part of the elite, and he worked in the music industry, and he said that whenever any type of album went out, they brought the album to these 13 witches and warlocks who were in the top floor of their building, and they cast spells and sent demons out in each one of the recordings. This is the type of stuff that some people may say, oh, it's spooky, it's scary, but it's reality, and it's how this world operates. It's nothing at all the way that you think it is. Like, for example, now with the COVID-19, the World Health Organization, or WHO, also you got to understand that a lot of things that this world operates by, the people who run this world, the ones who are following the demons, They have a lot to do with symbols, numbers, and words, and you have to kind of, if you understand their symbols, you can in their code words, you can kind of understand when something is a coded event or something that they're putting on that's not true, but they're putting it on as if it is true. But it really requires you to do a lot of study. You have to be interested in it enough to study and spend your time studying it. Or else you're gonna be tricked and fooled, and you're gonna sit and argue about stuff that you see on the news or that you believe is true because they've told you it's true. But the truth of the matter is, it's really not true. For example, with this COVID-19, there are hundreds of thousands of doctors who are being dis, they're kicking them out of their profession. They're taking away their license. They're blocking them on any kind of social media. They won't even allow them to write editorial pieces. They just want to get the word out that they have done tests, and the COVID is not even a virus, that it's a bacteria infection, and that it's not what's actually killing people. Now, when you say this, people always come back, well, I know so many people died, and my uncle died, and my cousin died, and my grandpa died. You being insensitive. Nobody is saying that no one died. People are dying. People are dying from something, but they're just not dying from COVID. And wearing a mask is not going to protect you from what you're dying from. They're actually dying from an installation, a large exuberant radiation being put into the atmosphere at the same time. Our bodies have to build up immunity against certain things that's in the air. Now, every single time when they put a lot of radiation into the atmosphere, people die. Then in 1918, they called it the Spanish flu because they were covering up radiation that they were installing on military plants that actually went out to the people and killed a lot of people because people's bodies haven't built up the immunity against radiation. Now, over the course of time, your body do build up its own immune system that will fight against the radiation. So, like for example, our bodies have built up the radiation against the radiation that was introduced into the atmosphere in 1918. But this is 2020, and they're introducing some new, stronger, more powerful radiation into the atmosphere, and our bodies haven't built up any immunity against it. So people who have weak immune systems, they're gonna die, and particularly elderly. The elderly, during every seasonal flu, the elderly pass away at a large rate. My sister works in a nursing home. Every year around flu season, they lose a lot of clients because they passed away due to the flu. Elderly people, immune system, not built up to take things that younger people's immune system may be able to sustain. So people are dying. People usually, if you think about it, if you want to be honest, the people that I'm not talking about the television numbers that's going up and the numbers that they're telling you, because those numbers are not true. They're just making up numbers. They're just literally sitting on television saying how many numbers we're going to go. Okay, today we're going to say this number. And then all the media is owned by only a few handful of people who all run the world, and they give you numbers to say. But these people aren't. Now, if it was a pandemic and we were seeing people dropping like flies, you would see people literally dropping like flies. That's pretty much what you would see. Now, I'm not saying that you aren't seeing people. I had a conversation with a friend of mine a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that he lived in New York and he's seeing people die. He went out to lunch with somebody, and 1 week and 2 weeks later, they had died. And he knows, he's heard of this person dying and that person dying. We're not saying that people are not dying. They are dying, but they're just not dying from a virus called COVID-19. That's the cover-up. They don't want you to protest 5Gs. They don't want you to protest the tower. Now people say, well, I use a phone, I got 5G. Nobody's talking about you using a cell phone. We're talking about cell phone towers. Now let me explain to you. You say, oh, well, there's been towers up. Well, yes, the 4G, 3G, 2G towers have been up. They have also caused sicknesses when people live near these cell phone towers. It's information you can look up. They cause all kind of cancerous diseases and a lot of things, brain tumors. by people who live near these cell phone towers. Now, 5G is totally different than 4G and 3G and 2G. 4G and 3G and 2G towers are really high towers that sit all the way up in the sky, and they emit over like 100,000 miles away. That's not the same with 5G, because see, 5G has to be super powerful because the purpose of 5G is to run artificial intelligence. They're making cars that run without drivers. They want to be able to, the 5G can actually come, like, view into your home, like it can see through the walls, it can see through bricks. It can pretty much, like, there'll be nothing private with this once the 5G is completely installed and we're all set up on 5G. They're creating smart homes, where the smart homes, you can pretty much just talk and your house will do whatever it is that you want it to do. But these things are not good for our bodies. Our bodies are not made to absorb this radiation that's emitting from these towers. With the 5G, they have to have them lower. So they're street level. They're on the side of buildings that you live in. They're in little trees that they're making look like trees, or they're on street lights, they're lower to level, and they have to be closer together because they can only be a certain amount of feet away from each other. So there's an exuberant amount of towers being put up during a time when they had us staying in the house. So when they put us on lockdown, they didn't put the people who worked for the cell phone towers on lockdown. They was outside putting up cell phone towers. So these cell phone towers are emitting radiation. Now, there's going to be some people who will say, oh, that's just crazy. Cell phone tower radiation, it's the same as a microwave, because they'll go to Google and Google will tell them that. Well, Google is not the Google that it used to be. Google was bought out. It's not by the people who originally created Google. Google will only put the information of those who are in charge and in control, because they own Google now and they own YouTube, and they put the information they want you to hear. They don't even put it in the back. They completely eliminate any kind of information that goes against the mainstream media. So, and then a lot of people don't understand how to read things. Like, for example, we were just having a discussion on Facebook about the mask, and people were saying, well, scientists said that the mask can stop you from catching the COVID, or it slows down the spread of the COVID. But if you read the articles by what the scientists say, you have to read with discernment. They may say, according to the WHO or according to the CDC, mass spreads down slows down the spread of COVID. They're not saying this is scientific evidence. They're telling you what the WHO and the CDC said, and both the WHO and the CDC is owned and completely funded by Bill Gates. So they're going to have to say whatever Bill Gates tells them to say. And Bill Gates wants to push a vaccine, so Bill Gates is going to make you think that you're about to die, and the only solution to this death is a vaccine. So that's what they're pushing. They're pushing for you to think that this is the only. And what they're doing now with the masses, they're trying to gauge how many people will actually follow. Like, do they have 51% of the population that would do what they tell them to do? And that's all they want in order to make the vaccine mandated. They need at least to know that 50% of the population will automatically go with what it is that they say. So that's the experiment with the mask. They want to see who would just wear the mask because they believe what they're telling them, and who won't. So right now, it's actually more people, depending on where you live, it's more people who won't wear the mask than it is people who will wear the mask. But now governors are making it mandatory. So they want to see, now they know that they can get lawsuits from this because they can't really mandate you to wear something on your face that's against your Bill of Rights. So they want to see if people will sue or if they won't sue. So everything is kind of experiment to gauge the people, to gauge the masses. So people who arguing and fighting at masses, oh, they protect you, you need it. It's not going to protect you, it's going to protect other people. It's so that other people don't catch what you have, because you may be asymmetrical. But none of that is actually true. That's just stuff that they tell you just to gauge where you are and, how you would respond, how the majority of the people respond. I know I'm not going to stand here. I've been on for 30 minutes. I ain't mean to stay this long. I know people don't like to watch things this long. I'm going to make another video next time. I just want to kind of get some things off my chest, but next time I'll be a little more focused and focus on one thing. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I took this long to tell you. To subscribe to the channel, share this video. Also hit the little bell so that you could be notified when I send another one. Have a good day.